All right, joining us now, Miranda Devine, New York Post columnist and Fox News contributor, Caroline Downey, staff writer at National Review, Tammy Bruce, Fox News contributor and author of Fear Itself. Okay, thank you, ladies. You weren't here. In the opening riff, I concluded by saying that a new American zeitgeist has occurred, that Donald Trump is riding the wave of this new zeitgeist, okay? And in fact, he himself may be the zeitgeist. He may be the source of the zeitgeist. Exactly. And if you look the word up in German, you can see it could be an individual, it could be a country. It's a word that the late, great Jack Kemp used to use with so many of us 40 years ago during the Reagan era. A similar zeitgeist is happening, Miranda. I thought you could kick that off. It's economic, but it's cultural, too.
Yeah, and it's emotional, I think. There's just a palpable sense of relief. And, you know, I've been talking to a couple of people who have been in town from Washington, D.C., you know, correspondents, and they say that Democrats are even relieved that Donald Trump won because the Biden presidency was a complete nightmare for everybody trying to hide his cognitive deficits, and the chaos was unbelievable and nobody knew who was in charge. And then those 3 weeks in between ousting Biden and bringing in Kamala were a disaster, and Kamala herself. So even Democrats are kind of relieved and have a grudging respect and admiration for Donald Trump that stemmed from, or started really after that first assassination attempt in Butler, because they looked at him and thought, he's actually something special.
Did you read the Time magazine interview? I mean, it was very, very long and very, very long. But Caroline, I'll go to you on this. He says, you know, they asked him what was perhaps the most important moment of the campaign. Of course, he said the assassination attempt at Butler Field in Pennsylvania. And then he went on to say, he said, many people changed and became more religious, including, he said, his own family members. And then he kind of repeated what he had said at the Milwaukee convention, that, you know, God kept him alive for a purpose. And I think that's part of the zeitgeist also. And I think it's part, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I think that is part of a collective sigh of national relief that this insane woke era with godlessness and DEI and all the transgenderism is coming to an end.
Yes, and I think Trump's defiance of all those obstacles and all those incredible targets on his back between the assassination attempts and the lawfare and then defeat in 2016. Time called this a resurrection for a reason because, I mean, it was the greatest political comeback in American history. Did they use the word resurrection? I missed that. I saw resurrection, yes, and I think that's incredibly accurate because, and that all contributes to this mythical character that you're describing, that in a way, maybe that was divine intervention to many of his followers, that he was spared from death. And then also the fact that all of these cases kind of evaporated of their own accord, or because everybody fell in line and eventually realized that he was made for this moment. And I mean, when I think about just how much the country politically has realigned toward him, I mean, he received the largest share of the black vote since Gerald Ford. So, I mean, there's been a political paradigm reset that I think even world leaders are recognizing. He's holding court in Mar-a-Lago with, you know, Milei and these other, you know, leaders. And I think, Trudeau, and I think time
the 51st state. Sorry. I was cheeky. I didn't mean to say that. Okay, I take it back. Tammy Bruce, I give you a whack at this new zeitgeist, because here's what the new zeitgeist is going to replace headlines like Biden announces the largest single-day act of clemency. In other words, the most pardons and commutations in the history of pardons and commutations, okay? Or I had another one here. The Justice Department IG report reveals the FBI had 26 confidential human sources on the ground at the January 6th protests. And some of these FBI people went into the Capitol. I mean, now this is the pettiness and the lowlifes of the Biden administration. This is the opposite of zeitgeist.
Yeah, but it also confirms about what the perfect storm was that brought us to this point. And Biden does not disappoint. This has been an abusive relationship from the start, starting on January 20th, 21, where we're getting punched in the face every day because this establishment just does not like us. Of course, this is what he would do. So we're not surprised. And the reason why I think Americans have relaxed about it a little bit is that they know that Trump, that daddy's home, that all of his nominees are going to, if anybody can change it, because we felt this momentum a bit before the Madison Square Garden event. We felt something was occurring, and we were correct. And it is encompassing. It's the body politic. It's the nature of when you've defeated cancer, but you also cannot become emboldened. You have to continue to watch it because it could come back.
Go away, yeah.
But we are in a position now where we've done everything we can do, but it's the combination. Trump did not bend. His family stuck with him. The American people continued and were not waylaid by the charges and everything they were doing with the law dynamic. Americans did not bend ourselves. We waited, and then you had the excellent organization during the campaign, dealing with the lawfare, but also election integrity. It was the momentum on every element that stayed. It was proper, and we felt it. It is like being carried by a wave, but the wave, we can't take it for granted, and Trump will deliver. That is going to lead us into another exciting period of time.
Well, you know, part of this is an economic liberation, right? Deregulation, basically taking down the regulatory state, which is modern socialism or modern Marxism. But part of it, I just come back to this, just my observation, said it the other night. I connect the dots between the Al Smith dinner and going to the Notre Dame Cathedral. I mean, here's Trump saying, and here's this Time magazine interview where he talks about religion once again. Here's Trump saying it's okay to have religious feelings or something. It's okay to believe in God. I mean, the far left doesn't like God. The far left hates God. They don't want God in any of our lives. That's not where I was going to go in this. I had other points to make, but you prompted me to make that observation.
But it's interesting.
Trump is absolutely... I mean, I am a longtime disciple of the late, great William F. Buckley, Jr. on this and many other points. When I was a senior editor at Caroline's magazine, The National Review, Bill Buckley wrote eloquently about this, several books about his own upbringing and later in life and how disappointed he was that people were trying to kick God out of schools, trying to kick God out of families. And the left always tries to do that. What Donald Trump, you may not have expected Trump to do it, okay? But he's bringing religion back. He's bringing God back. I mean, he is bringing God back. Now, I was going to ask you a question about Mark Zuckerberg, who fixed the last 2020 election against Trump, forking up $1 million for the inauguration of this one. I know somewhere I got waylaid about God, but maybe you have a thought about Zuckerberg's coming back to Trump.
Well, I mean, it's so weaselly.
I'm exhausted. Yes, I'm sorry.
You did that very well. You're a pro. You should have a show of your own.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
But yeah, he's just a weasel. I think to sum it up, there's a meme that shows, you know, that fantastic photograph on Trump Force One. You've got Trump and Elon and JD, and they're sitting down having McDonald's. Oh, and RFK Jr., of course. Yeah. And then outside the window, pressed against the glass, is a very sad-looking Zuckerberg.
Oh, right.
So that's it. Like, he missed the party, and too bad. You know, he should have read the writing on the wall instead of putting it all in with the Democrats.
And the last one I got to get, Caroline, this is the utter pettiness of the Biden administration. The report today, to know if you saw it, they're going down to the border. They're sending border agents to take whatever loose pieces of Trump wall equipment and to take things down that weren't nailed down or something and sell them at auction. All right, knowing that Trump himself wants to, finish the wall. I mean, is there anything lower than life? Is there anything pettier than that?
No. it's the utmost contempt for not just Trump's plan, and by the way, the mandate for border security, which America voted for, but it's just frivolous to do something like that, and it's kind of wasteful. It strikes me as that way.
I think it's sick.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Can I say there is something lower? It was going through Mrs. Trump's personal items in that raid. And that Trump's,
but he's on the unemployment.
And Trump's conversion is what I think moves Americans, is that it was deeply personal and not ideological. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
I agree. Tammy, Bruce, I always agree. Miranda Devine, Caroline, Downey, thank you, all three of you. Thanks very much.